Denver officials say they can no longer allow thousands of migrants to stay in shelters, but the city also won't allow them to stay on the streets.
Will they be asked to sort of move along without a destination? Will they be allowed to remain together? What happens then?
As Denver asks the rest of the state for help with migrants, Colorado Springs goes on the record to say, "Don't send people here." Baseball fans in Kansas are scrambling to replace a statue of Jackie Robinson. Sculptors in Colorado have a solution and an opportunity to help kids in rural Colorado rise above poverty and reach new heights. Tonight on Next. There's an old saying at closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. As the city of Denver prepares to discharge migrant families from shelters next Monday, they're putting a new twist on that saying. You can't stay here, you can't be homeless, and no, we might not have a home for you.
Next week we will begin again the discharges for families.
In front of City Council, it's clear the plans are made and they're not changing.
If we were to have to sustain this level, it is unsustainable from a staff perspective, from a space perspective, and certainly from a financial perspective.
Evan Dreyer from the mayor of Denver's office made it clear. Starting Monday, hundreds of migrant families living in shelters will begin being discharged one by one. 743 families in total, according to advocates.
We are doing everything that we possibly can to avoid encampments.
But the questions in this room don't always lead to answers. Like what happens when someone is kicked out of the shelter without a plan to get housing?
If people begin to form a camp, will they be asked to sort of move along without a destination? Will they be allowed to remain together? What happens then?
Yeah.
The city says they won't allow people to camp on the streets. Outreach is the only answer so far.
Continuing to do really intensive outreach if an encampment forms, working with people on the ground in an encampment to try to provide them with as many options as possible.
I'm deeply concerned. I think we have stretched our city resources to the limit.
Sarah Parody is a city council member at large. She worries the cycle will continue, pushing migrants in and out of shelters, in and out of homelessness.
So my biggest fear is that this month, as we discharge hundreds of people from city hotel shelters, that people will not have available housing, will not have another shelter that has space for them, and that they will end up in a situation of unsheltered homelessness in tents on the street.
Every day there are new questions. On Monday, we'll see if there are answers to keep people off the streets.
We are trying to intervene and prevent people from ending up on the street as much as we can.
We've started hearing the tone from both the city and some of the biggest advocates for migrants change over the last couple of days. There's a realization that we are out of money and out of space. The suggestion was made yesterday here on Next by Yoli Casas to put a pause on allowing migrants into Denver, close the city for a while. She's one of the biggest advocates for migrants, and we've never heard something like that from her before. So last night at a 9 News documentary screening, we asked Mayor Mike Johnston if it's even possible to close those valves to stop allowing more migrants in.
We don't have good valves because most of those are controlled by the entry policies. I will say what we're looking at is, will we have a cap of what the total number of people are that we can serve in the city? Because that number is not unlimited, even right now.
Johnston said the city would not use cruelty to stop migrants from coming here, things like razor wire fences that we've seen in Texas. He says those aren't helpful or humane. Meanwhile, El Paso County has found a way to stop migrants from coming to Colorado Springs. County commissioners there are making sure everyone knows how unwelcoming they are. They held a whole press conference today to urge their community to not support migrants. They're basically putting a big red flashing light up there that says, "Stay away, you are not welcome here." They say they don't have the funds to help, and they're trying to stop the crisis before it even starts in their city. They're going as far as to tell people to stop supporting nonprofits that are also helping migrants.
I urge our nonprofit community and partners to refrain from welcoming this crisis by welcoming migrants.
For months now, you've heard leaders here in Denver pleading for other cities to step up and help. Not a single other Colorado city has agreed to take in migrants. Well, piece by piece, Colorado Democrats are expected to bring back last year's failed legislation to overhaul land use regulations across the state. They're starting with a bill to let homeowners in some of Colorado's biggest communities build affordable units on their properties. A bill introduced yesterday in the State House would make it easier for homeowners to build one accessory dwelling unit, also known as a granny flat or casita, casita on their property. Affordable housing advocates say they're a way to increase affordable housing options, but most Colorado counties have some kind of prohibition on those units. For example, Denver residents have to live in certain areas to qualify and get approval from a zoning board to build an ADU on their property. The bill sponsors want to override those local zoning restrictions and provide grants for homeowners to encourage ADU construction. Not every government would have to comply with these new rules. Municipalities with less than 1,000 people would be exempt, so would unincorporated areas as well. Well, the lines inside Denver International Airport, those are well documented, staying at TSA, everything like that. Long waits at TSA checkpoints, though, could be relieved by new security areas that are opening up next week. And DIA has apparently come up with a solution for long lines outside the airport as well. We're talking about the drivers who pull over on the side of Peña Boulevard near passenger pickup, just not by the cell phone lot. Marshall Zellender is out at that cell phone lot at DIA. Marshall, sometimes that lot's completely empty because people just find a more convenient place to wait.
I'll admit I am someone who would rather drive around the airport than pull off and wait in this lot, even though it's an extra about 5 minutes to get off Peña, wind your way into the lot, wait here for a little bit, wind your way back into Peña and get to the airport. There are other drivers who are probably waiting here now that used to wait illegally a little bit closer. And now there's a plan to get rid of that solution with a better one temporarily and permanently. The shoulder is where you're supposed to pull over to get out of the way of traffic, except at DIA, where new temporary blockades are up to prevent drivers from stopping in the no stopping area, the shoulder, which is closer to the airport than the cell phone lot, about 4 or 5 minutes away. If pulling over near the airport was a sign drivers did not want to wait in that cell phone lot, wait until they see what a Denver City Council committee was shown today. Development plans that include a second cell phone lot. Councilmember Diana Romero Campbell had a question I was wondering. Is the solution to people pulling over illegally, besides cones blocking the shoulder, another cell phone lot just as far away?
It wasn't mentioned in the presentation, but I'm wondering, is this also to help alleviate all of the folks, including myself at times, who just pull over on this side of Peña or on the off ramps and are just waiting? Is this a strategy to alleviate that?
It absolutely is. Yeah, while I think those times are certainly infrequent, there are times that we're just at capacity in that lot on the north side.
There are 260 spots in the current cell phone lot, with plenty to be had Wednesday in the late afternoon. But what the future cell phone lot on the south side of Peña will have that this one does not? A direct on-ramp to get back onto Peña to the airport. Oh, and a recreation area.
There'll be a little park with a dog park there with picnic tables, so you can stay there and actually have your children and loved ones and furry friends stop for a little while you're waiting.
I was going to say, the thing that's been missing, that people have been avoiding this lot and pulling over to the shoulder, the thing that's been missing is a place to hang out with your kids and dogs. But let me tell you something. The number of cars here that have dogs with them and the number of dogs I've seen out here and the number of doggy landmines I'm standing around in this field, yes, the cell phone lot actually does need a dog park area mark.
It's a beautiful day. You just have to watch out for all those landmines. I'll tell you, the best thing about that cell phone lot right now is the Dunkin' Donuts. But seriously, is there a reason that they can't just put it a little bit closer to the airport?
I don't know. Space? Yes, this is a question we should ask DIA that maybe I should have asked ahead of time so I'd have a better answer for you. I'm guessing space, because it becomes a retail area, and so this is where the retail area is. You're going to have a cell phone lot next to a new gas station, next to a car share lot, and there's going to be a restaurant and other things. So this is where you make extra money outside the airport.
And until then, you have to watch out where you step in the cell phone lot. Marshall, get home safely and watch where you're walking. We appreciate it. Well, this week we have the opportunity to help kids in Colorado rise above poverty. We're talking about this week's Word of Thanks. Your contribution have already raised $12 million and counting so far throughout our campaigns. Here's Kyle with our latest microgiving campaign.
There are so many terrific organizations working to break through generational poverty in Colorado cities, and we've talked about many of them here. But tonight, a word about a group helping kids rise above poverty in rural Colorado. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit kids at their best. Through tutoring, mentorship, leadership programs, summer activities, meal programs, and years of one-on-one support, Kids at Their Best helps young people on the Eastern Plains imagine a different future than what they and their parents have experienced. Often that means that they're the first in their family to go to college. When kids are old enough, they're paid to work in the nonprofit's programs to support their families as they learn and grow. Kids at Their Best is based in Morgan County, where 1 in 5 kids live in poverty. Some are immigrants, some are from families who have been in Colorado for generations. The nonprofit's programs serve young people across the plains, from up in Sedgwick down to Rocky Ford, from Hugo out to Yuma. The nonprofit's founder has said that, people talk a lot about bootstraps, but there's nothing noble about children going hungry and without hope in life. Kids at Their Best changes those lives. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to give. You have proven that even $5 helps, so as always, I'll match the first 50 of you who donate $5. And more than 1,000 of you have now signed up for monthly giving through the Word of Thanks Fund. Same QR code or text to take you there. You can set up a recurring donation to be split among all of our featured nonprofits.
So it turns out Xcel is sitting on some prime water rights on the Colorado River. The state's putting millions towards a deal to buy the rights without putting an Xcel plant out of business. And a warm January day isn't breaking any records in Denver, but a warm January week? Now we're talking. And a one-of-a-kind tribute to a baseball great is vandalized, but a Colorado company holds the keys to fix it. That's next. The state of Colorado is considering buying the water rights from an Xcel power plant on the western slope so that the company cannot sell them off in the future. The Shoshone power plant has some of the oldest water rights on the Colorado River, and as the river is at the center of a drought-fueled battle over water, the state sees this as a chance to lock in that water supply. This week, the State Water Policy Board voted to chip in $20 million towards buying them. It's going to cost a lot more than that. Total's $98 million to buy the rights, and state lawmakers will still have to approve a final deal from there. Well, it's been one of those weeks that just makes you kind of forget that it's January right now. Don't worry, Colorado's going to remind you this weekend when it snows again that, it snows in winter. Denver has hit 60 degrees 4 days in a row. That's golfing weather right there. Those aren't record-breaking temperatures, even for January, though. We'd have to get into the 70s for that. What if we hit 60 degrees again for a 5th straight day? It would be one of our longest warm streaks on record for this time of year. It's only happened 3 times since the year 1900. We have that to look forward to. Kathy's here tonight. Kathy, it's warm outside. How much more time do we have to enjoy these temperatures, play some more golf before it's winter again?
I know. Are you waiting for that other shoe to drop?
Yeah.
Because it will.
We're like, it's almost February. Shouldn't it be snowing?
Yeah, and February is not only one of our snowier months, it's one of our colder months. And certainly Mother Nature will give us a little wake-up call as we head into Friday afternoon. But not today and not tonight. Sunshine and 60s today. We have beautiful weather out there tonight. But this weekend storm will bring not only heavy snow to the high country, but accumulating snow to Denver. Our high at 61 today is way above the average of 44. We'll get to enjoy this trend for one more day as high pressure begins to shift east in response to this trough digging in across the west coast. That system is beginning to move into California. You might have noticed the cloud cover later today. That's with a disturbance to the south of us, but it's the system off to the west that could bring anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain from San Francisco down to LA to San Diego, 8 to 10 inches. There's a lot of water with this system that'll be rolling in here on Friday. There's just not a lot of cold air support, so some of this moisture may come in the form of rain. And so that's what makes forecasting so difficult. Moisture increases across the western slope tomorrow. Denver and the Front Range stay dry. Advisories for heavy snow will go out Friday morning. 10 to 24 inches of snow at your favorite ski resort. The ski modeling is just going to be amazing as we're looking at well over a foot of snow in areas like Telluride. And so looking at the rest of this evening, temperatures in the 50s now dropping into the 40s, and your extended forecast shows cooler, cloudier weather Friday with rain and snow showers over the weekend. We break right back out of it, get back to sunshine and 50s by the middle of next week.
We still have the mold, so it won't be that big a deal to reproduce another Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson, of course, was one of a kind. Luckily, a statue of him is not. Artists in Colorado are stepping in to rebuild a vandalized statue in Kansas. And parks officials are taking sides on an infamous bird beef that's returned to Boulder. That's next. It is the return of our favorite soap opera, As the Nest Turns. Nest viewers are well acquainted, of course, with our favorite celebrity couple on here. An osprey pair in Boulder County who had to fend off some Canada geese squatting in their nest last year. The ospreys came out victorious, even hatched a couple of eggs. So this year, the ospreys are getting some help defending their turf. Staffers with the Boulder County Open Space Department have booby-trapped the nest with a fake owl and some nails to ward off geese. Of course, the nails are set up in a place that is safe for the ospreys. The setup is called a baffle, and parks officials tell us it's attached to a rope so they can pull it down when the ospreys are ready to come back. A very exciting little soap opera there. Before we go, though, Kyle has another update on this week's Word of Thanks. It's a chance to help kids develop the leadership tools that they need to get out of poverty and on the right path to a career.
Kids at Their Best is a nonprofit fighting generational poverty on the Eastern Plains, showing young people a path to a better future, whether that's through a trade or college. When they're old enough, those young people get paid to run the nonprofit's leadership programs and after-school work so they can support their families while they set a path to financial stability. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to give. You can do it one time or set up a recurring donation to the Word of Thanks Fund to support each week's featured nonprofit.
Back with your feedback now. Paul says, look around and see the wealth in our communities. We are not out of money. We are lacking empathy and compassion, talking about the migrant situation here in Denver. Denver needs your help if you have empathy and compassion. They want you to help the migrants if you can. Thanks for seeing us.